Now we have the second speaker for the day. Speaker Dr. Unnikrishnan. He is an assistant professor and Department of Philosophy, Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kalady, Kerala. And sir, I have been inspired, or rather, whenever the name occurs, Kalady, that itself holds the spirituality, the where the Adi Shankara is born, and I have visited the place number of times and worshipped there, and even taken a bath there in the river Periyar, where Arambia, Adi Shankara's mother, Aryamba's samadhi is there. Such a wonderful place, and those who gets an opportunity definitely should visit the Kalady. It is just 10 kilometers away from Alva near Ernakulam. A beautiful place, and we are very fortunate enough to have a Sir Unnikrishnan sir from Kalady. Since this day is being celebrated on honor of Sri Adi Shankaracharya's birth anniversary has been celebrated as Indian Philosopher's Day, the 11th May. I think he is the apt person to give a lecture and enlighten on us. And now I would like to summarize this curriculum vitae. And Sir is a senior scholar working in the Department of Philosophy, Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kalady, for more than 2 decades. He has an experience of 24 years. He was a first rank holder in BA in undergraduate and also in MA postgraduate. He has done his PhD from the University of Calicut on the subject related to Indian materialistic schools. He is well-known scholar in this subject. Sir, really, sir, if anyone support materialism or talk about materialism, from Indian perspective side, they think that it is a sin to say about materialism. And since you are a subject expert, so please enlighten us, sir, on a materialism, how to be a materialist, come a spiritualist also. During his professional life, he has undertaken many roles and still he continue with that roles. He is serving director of a student service, and the coordinator of NSS. Even I served as NSS coordinator, sir. And I used to tell the student NSS for me means never stop service. NSS never stop service. That's the thing which I inculcate to the students. I think even you might be doing much better than what I have done. He is a part of academic council of many universities. He is also a director, doctor. He is also a part of a doctoral committee of many universities. He has served the university registrar for a number of times. He has delivered lectures like in ICPR periodical lectures and many other seminars and conferences across country. He has published various research papers in journals and presented papers in national and international seminars and conferences. Apart from academic life, he is also a good poet. He writes in Malayalam. This is a brief summary of sir. I welcome you, sir. Now over to you, sir, and we are eagerly waiting for your lecture, sir. Thank you for our invitation, accepting and delivering the lecture today, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Manikandan sir, thank you for your nice words about me. And respected Panir Selvan sir, Krishna Kumar Vyas ji, and so many other seniors are there. My salute to all of you. And I extend my sincere gratitude to the Department of Philosophy, Agurchand College, for inviting me to deliver a lecture. And as Manikandan ji already mentioned, I am from the Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kalady, and I am proud to say that I am coming from the birthplace of Adi Sankaracharya. And after an intellectual feast by one of the senior most scholars of India, living philosopher Panir Selvam, I may try to say something. That's only I may try to say. This is my suggestion. And as already Manikandanji explained, I done my PhD in materialism. So from the very early days, I used to look into Indian philosophy from a critical point of view. At the same time, like Panir Selvam explained, this is not underestimating Indian philosophy, but to see in the merits in a more global way what contribution Indian philosophy had done to the philosophical realm. And my point is, this is only a suggestive paper, and I'm grateful to some of the philosophers like Gargopadhyaya, Chattopadhyaya, all those who have intimated, all those who have explained the content, already intimated the content of my paper. And my paper, my talk is on a relook at the classification of Indian philosophy. We students and teachers are all aware of the classifications and characterizations of Indian philosophy. When we begin Indian philosophy classes, we begin with the explaining the characteristics of Indian philosophy, and then we come to the classification of Indian philosophy. But when we begin the before that, I will come to the question raised by Badrinath sir, comparing Western concepts with the Indian philosophy, whether it undermined. Already Panir Selvam sir explained that, and I'm adding something, because when we say this is philosophy, we have to see it in the global perspective. So the idea of preparing and under the auspices of the government of India, a history of philosophy which would be truly representative of the growth of human thought in the different civilizations and cultures of the world, was first mooted by Honorable Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, the first education minister of India. The idea was an understanding of the philosophies of the world. And in the introduction to, and the result was the volumes of History of Philosophy, Eastern and Western. Then he raised a question, from where we have to start. And the previous and in the first in the introductory part, he explained a Persian poet compared the universe to an old manuscript of which the first and the last pages have been lost, and philosophy is the search for the lost pages. And then he posed the question, from where we have to start, whether from the Indian or from the Western. And we know that in West, the philosophy usually starts from, that name philosophy can be applied to, from the philosophy of Thales. Thales is considered to be the beginner or father of Western philosophy. Why Thales has been considered as the father of Western philosophy? Because from Thales there is a shift to mythos to logos, from the mythological perspective to the philosophical perspective. And when we compare the time period, in the Thales period, in India, philosophy has matured. Even major Upanishads are there, and Buddhism and Jainism are also there. So hair splitting philosophical speculations and philosophical discussions were going on in India. So his opinion was that philosophy should begin with the Indian philosophy. So from the attainment of consciousness, man has been constant pursuit to discover these lost pages. These lost pages means, in the previous slide, we show that the Maulana Abdul Kalam's citation that philosophy, the world universe is like a poem, manuscript, of which the first and last pages are lost. So philosophy is the name of this quest and result. Not only philosophy is the results only, it is also questions. What questions are raised? It is very important in philosophy. As soon as man attained self-consciousness and began to think, two questions, especially two questions, arose in his mind. These questions are always asked by ourselves also. What is the meaning of life? What is the nature of the universe he sees all around? What is the meaning of life? This is a question perpetually asked by all of us. So philosophy tries to answer these questions. Next one. Sree? So richness, depth and conflicts. So one of the most striking feature of Indian philosophy we have to highlight is its richness, depth, variety, and conflicts also. Every shade of philosophical speculation is covered in Indian philosophy. Every shade. Already Panneerselvam sir explained. All shades of Western philosophical methodologies can be applied to Indian philosophy. How it is possible? It is possible only because every shade of philosophical speculation is covered in Indian philosophy. And we know that philosophy begins with asking questions like, does the world come out of nothing? Does the world come out of something? Does the world come out of nothing, or does the world come out of something? Is the external world real, or is it only an imagination? What is the status of knowledge? Does it reveal its own self, or is it revealed through another self? Panneerselvam sir already explained the book on a seer and the sea. So this is self-explanatory. I'm not going to explain more. These questions were asked from the very beginning of Indian philosophy. So plethora of such questions raised and answers offered. So qualitatively and quantitatively, the variety and spread of philosophical material is indeed great. That is the greatness of philosophy. Apart and more than Indian philosophy, when we say Indian philosophy is spiritual, we are reducing. It is my opinion. So Indian philosophy is marked in this respect by a striking breadth of outlook, which only testifies to its unflinching devotion to the search for truth. This is the opinion of Devendranath Datta and Chatterjee in the book Introduction to Indian Philosophy. And arriving at a philosophical position presupposes clash of ideas. That is the importance of conflicts. When we start to propose a philosophical ideas, usually we begin it from criticizing, and we begin it with the clash with the existing ideas by descending to the existing ideas. The exponent of that philosophy ensured to hear and understand the views of others. This is one important point. The exponent of that philosophy ensured to hear and understand the views of others. Hearing others is an important aspect of Indian philosophy. The origin of this methodology may be traced back to ancient practice of holding debates. The Upanishadic word for that is Vagovakya. Vagovakya. You know that in the West it is thesis, antithesis, synthesis, like that. In Purva Paksha, in Indian philosophy, Purva Paksha, Pratipaksha, and Siddhanta. This is the way in which Indian philosophy developed. However, this approach was not approved and accepted by all. And there is also dissent to this method. This approach, this methodology was not accepted by all. Here, there were philosophical schools which did emphasize faith in place of doubt. To doubt is considered to be, according to some philosophers, as a sin. So there is, they relied upon faith more than reason or raising doubts or dissent. So when we come to the origin of Indian philosophy, Vedas are considered to be the first philosophical literature of India. We know that there are 4, we are considering as the number of Vedas as 4, and Rigveda mainly concerned with knowledge, and Yajurveda with action, Samaveda with will, and Atharva Veda concerned with knowledge, action, and will. And only by studying all these 4 Vedas, one can attain the Brahmajnana. It is believed that only by systematic learning of these 4 Vedas, one can satisfactorily attain the values of life. Thus, Vedas functions as foundation of philosophical and social life of human being. This is important. Not only philosophical life, but Vedas.
Vedas, you already mentioned that, yes, this is here, but this is.
Vedas are considered to be also influenced. That is how the human life has been influenced by Vedas. Vedas are considered to be the first Next slide. Besides Vedas functioning as foundation of knowledge, the process of attainment of goals of life, values of life, purusharthas, is also linked to man's life cycle. Through Brahmacharya, we may attain knowledge. Through Garhastya or householdship, we may attain action. Through Vanaprastha, we may attain courage. And through Sannyasa, we may attain self-realization. This is how social life has been reconciled with the philosophical concepts and philosophical ideas. So Vedas are definitely one of the main foundation of Indian philosophy. Now we come to the conventional classification of Indian philosophy. Indian philosophical systems was traditionally, now also it is going on, traditionally classified to 2, Astika and Nastika. We know that Astika schools are Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purvamimamsa, and Uttamimamsa. And Nastika schools are Charvaka or Lokayata, Jainism, and Buddhism. And what is the meaning of this Astika and Nastika? We have to examine the etymology of these terms. The word Astika is formed by adding the suffix tak to the word asti. Thus, Astika literally means one who believes that it exists. The word Nastika is formed by adding the suffix tak to Nasti. Nastika is one who believes that it does not exist. So the meaning of it may be a matter of confusion. What do you mean by, or what we mean by it? The word may be variously interpreted. Usually in common speech, we may call a person who is a disbeliever as a Nastika. Or a person who denies afterlife may be a person Nastika. A person who is not willing to accept another's position may be a Nastika. Or so it may be the meaning of it may be God, otherworld, soul, or Veda. Various things can be put in the place of this it. So Astika and Nastika systems. So how this word, the special meaning attached to the terms is that Astika means one who has faith in Veda, one who accepts Vedic authority and infallibility. This is the special meaning attached to Astika and Nastika. And this came through a negative way. A person who is not ready to accept Vedic authority or infallibility is considered to be a Nastika. Asendas Gupta explained that. There is a quotation of Asendas Gupta, but we have the definition of Nastika in Manu's own words as one who controverts the Vedic doctrines, Veda Nindaka. Veda Ninda was considered to be a sin. Not only as it is a serious sin. We know the story in the Mahabharata where even Indra has to reborn as a jackal as for committing this kind of Veda Ninda. This injunction of the lawgiver Manu acquired an absolute philosophical significance. This is to be noted. So it is Manu who attached this special meaning. Manu means he is a lawgiver. You are very familiar with Manusmriti. So this special meaning was attached to this Astika and Nastika was given by Manu. So challenges, what are the shortcomings or confusion or challenges of this classification? First of all, we know that it goes against etymology. So etymologically, it is not perfect. The meaning of a word is fixed in total disregard to etymology, just on the whim of an individual. And again, this classification has its root in the idea of non-philosopher Manu. This is not from the philosophical realm that this special meaning has been suggested and accepted. And the more important thing is that there is the possibility of shift in the meaning of the words Astika and Nastika. How this shift can be, shift is there from the point of view, if a person who accepts Vedic authority is Astika, and person who is not ready to accept Vedic authority is Nastika. So, so please consider, when we consider a person, another one says that this is somebody's mic is on. Somebody's mic is on. Deena Kavi. Sir. Deena Kavi. Am I audible? Am I continue? Sir, Prasanna Umar, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Okay. So this loyalty to the Vedas, was the loyalty to Veda is genuine. Out of 6 orthodox schools or Astika systems, only 2 systems are directly accepting the Vedic authority, Purva and Uttaramimamsa. We know that. All other systems are not directly based upon Vedas. They accept Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vaisheshika, accept Vedic authority only with certain reservations. Shabda is only a pramana among other pramanas. We can take, when we consider each of these systems, we know that Nyaya gave prior importance to Anumana than any other pramana. And Sankhya also gives perception and Pratyaksha and Anumana prior importance. And they accept Shabda as a pramana among other pramanas. And only these 2 systems, Purva and Uttaramimamsa, are systems, those are directly based upon Vedic teaching. So, if this is so, when we consider the other part, the case of Nastika school, there is no common criteria by which the 3 Nastika schools may be grouped. Thus, we can assume this classification was done by the upholders of Vedic authority. What is the common criteria? In the case of Astika schools, we may say that it is the acceptance of Veda that is the unifying link between them. But when we come to the Nastika schools, what is the unifying link between them? The Buddhism is entirely different from Jainism, and these two schools are entirely different from Logayata materialism. So there is no common link that unite all these three Nastika systems. This is, and again, if the upholders of Jainism says that Jaina Sutras are the ultimate source, and Astika is a person who believes in Jaina Sutra, then all other systems will become Nastika systems. And if the Barhaspatya Sutras, there is no sutras, but if one says that Logayata teaching is the basis, and a person who believes in Logayata teaching is Astika, and then all other systems will become Nastika. More than that, except Logayata, all other systems can be classified into one group, and Logayata is a system that is predominantly materialistic. So alternative classification. So this is the shortcomings or confusion of this classification. The classification of branches of knowledge by Kaudilya, it is already mentioned by Panneerselvam sir in his famous work Arthashastra, are Anvishiki, Trayi, Varta, Dandaditi. Of this, Anvishiki stands for philosophy. We may call sometimes Indian philosophy as Darshana, but what is philosophy? When we say that, when we use the term philosophy, we know that it is a Western word, and when we examine the connotation of that term, that similar term in India is Anvishiki. So Jacobi remarks, according to Kaudilya, the essence of philosophy lies in systematic investigation and logical demonstration. In his judgment, these conditions are satisfied only by Sankhya, Yoga, and Logayata. So it is a rational approach that characterizes philosophy. And I am not saying that all others are not philosophy, but it can be termed it can be termed as darshana. It may have much more wider perspective and wider denotation than philosophy. But philosophy proper is a rational discipline. This is my opinion. So when we analyze Indian philosophy, there are philosophical elements are there. There are theological elements are there, like Panneerselvam told. Even ethical undertaking is there. All these are combined in Indian philosophy. So it is much more wider than philosophy in the West. So we can say that it is we usually say that it is not possible for us to distinguish between religion and philosophy in India. But it is true. But however, when we undertake this in a global perspective, it is possible for us to say that these are philosophical elements, and these are theological elements, and these are mystical elements. All these are possible nowadays. So my conclusion is, the key inference one can draw is that conventional classification was one-sided. One-sided in the sense that it is done from the perspective of the Vedic upholders, or those who uphold the Vedic authority. I am not against Vedic authority, but it is from the perspective of Vedic authority that this classification was done. There could have been diverse systems that included both philosophical and theological elements. There are multiple possibilities of alternatively classifying Indian philosophical schools on the basis of differential criteria. So if there is the possibility of so many other alternative classifications, and I'm feeling this because traditionally we are attached to this classification, and so many diverse points of Indian philosophy has been neglected. So we have to rethink, we have to think, and whether there are so many possibilities. I am not suggesting a possibility. There are so many possibilities are there of classifying Indian philosophy. We may have we can use the same classification, systems which directly based upon Vedas, indirectly based upon Vedas, systems, and anyhow these Nastika systems may not be grouped in one group. And so there are multiple possibilities of alternatively classify Indian philosophical schools on the basis of differential criteria. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Prasanna? Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful presentation. Very lucid. And sir, my observation is, as you said, Rig Veda is for knowledge, and Rig, Yajur, and Sam, and Atharva. And whether it is sufficient that if I study Atharva Veda, I will get all the three components also, knowledge, will, and actions, or other. One has to read all the Vedas to be fulfilled.
Yeah, one has to read all the Vedas, and at last these are reconciled. How this will function as interchangeably, that is done in the other Veda. That was my point. That does not mean all the other three Vedas are not necessary.
Okay, sir. Now platform is open for the questions and their observations. We invite the participant to raise their own doubts and observations.
Vyas, Krishna Kumar Vyas, is it understood or is it accepted that Vedas contain, all the four Vedas, contain any and everything that falls within the realm of knowledge? Or do the Vedic scholars believe that there could be something else also given out later on? For example, Gita. In Vedas, perhaps there is no mention of Purushottama. Gita talks of the revelations directly from the Purushottama. So, and it happened 5,000 years back. Vedas, don't know, from times immemorial, these Vedas were manifested in several rishis of the time. Can you kindly explain?
Sir, thank you for the question. And Veda does not mean that included everything. Veda came from the root with, means knowledge. So it is the knowledge that we gained up to that time. And Vedas functions as the foundation of later interpretations, etc. We know that this Gita was mainly a philosophy that is based upon the existing Upanishadic thinking. So it is a reconciliation of Upanishadic teaching, and also that is combined with the theistic elements. Then we have the concept of Purushottama. So that is why it is mentioned that Sarvova Nishado Gavo. It is like the milk of the Upanishads, which are considered to be the cow. So when we say that Vedas are the foundation, it does not mean that all the entire philosophy is there, all the entire knowledge is there in the Vedas. That is why I introduced a different classification of knowledge. Of this, Trayi means these three Vedas. Earlier, it was believed that only three Vedas are there, and this Atharva Veda was a later edition. Am I clear, sir?
Yes. But does it also mean that subsequent to the Gita period, 5,000 years back, is it possible that any other revelations can manifest and which may be true?
Yeah, if some new interpretations Definitely, it is a contribution to the rich tradition of Indian philosophy. Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Even nowadays, Swami Chinmayananda has largely contributed to the interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita. We know that.
No, no, he
There are
has
so-
he has contributed to the interpretations, but what I'm saying is further new revelations.
And our new revelations.
Contained earlier, I mean, is it that the God has stopped revealing himself from Vedas, after Vedas and Gita, or he may still manifest certain other truths? This is what I was asking.
Yeah, if that I don't know whether a prophet will come or will contribute to the existing knowledge system. That I don't know. We can expect.
Okay. Because my question will be understood by Paneer Selvam-ji, if he is still there listening to us, because I have come across certain 17th century revelations that really supplement all the earlier scriptures, that is Hindu scriptures. This is what I found, and it was he who inspired me to write on that subject, which I did. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So if we have any other questions to or response to Dr. Unnikrishnan's presentation.
Sir, can I ask one doubt, small clarification?
Please.
Yeah, Jainism, they are believe in soul, and they believe in God also. They believe in self, but still in the classification they kept in Nastikas. As the sir said in the beginning, it clarifies self or God. Even the mantra of Jainism is Namo Siddhanam, Namo Aragandam. Siddhanam is widely worshipped. All the Siddhas who have pure quality of soul. So still Jainism is kept as Nastikas. Its interpretation is can be make it as Astikas because they believe in soul and God also.
Yes, definitely. That was my point. Jainism does not believe in God, in an Almighty. Even though they believe in Jina, a Kabalajnani, or an omniscient, but it may not be God. They believe in soul. So that was the point I want to emphasize. That was the shortcoming, or that is the shortcoming of this kind of classification.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think I may take this opportunity to ask a question. Sir, after our great Chattopadhyaya was contributed immensely towards the Charvaka system, there were no more studies in Charvaka systems. So, of course, there were a lot of realms where we can use the inductive logics used by the Charvakans, but we haven't used or we haven't explored the Charvaka systems in detail. What might be the reason, sir? Like, how do you respond to this question?
Yeah, definitely. The main target of attack against Charvaka was by focusing on their ethics. We know that ethics is the most important factor of social life. So most important attack on Charvaka was they were Veda Nindaka, they were disbelievers in God, and they were not they are not ready to accept afterlife. When we use the common slogans by which we are ridiculing Logayata, we can deduce their logic. That was quoted by Madhavacharya in the Sarvadarshana Samgraha. He began this work by the chapter on this Charvaka. Even this name, when we analyze the etymology of the Charvaka, two possibilities are there. One is Charu Vak, means sweet tongued etymologically, and other one is Charva, from the root Charva. Charva means to chew. So both these have only negative meaning. That is why Devi Prasad Chattopadhyaya tries to call it as Lokayata, that is prevalent among masses. And my point is, if we analyze this particular verse, which is mainly quoted for ridiculing the Charvaka philosophy, Yavat jivet sugam jivet rinam kritva hridam pivet basmi budasya dehasya punaragamanam kuta. This was that verse. While you alive, while life is there, let it live happily. Yavat jivet sugam jivet rinam kritva hridam pivet. Drink even by borrowing. Drink ghee even by borrowing. Once this body become ashes, never expect to come back here again. This is through this verse he tries to ridicule this Charvaka ethical position. But when we analyze that, Yavat jivet sugam jivel, all philosophical systems of India are considered the life as we live is misery, is sorrowful, and philosophical systems try to overcome this sorrow. So their advice is to live happily, not seeking pleasure alone. It is not pleasure, it is jivan sukham. Sukham is something different from pleasure or rejoicing. It is sukham. Sukham is sukham. We have sukham only when in a healthy body. That is why, because they also believe in Dehatmavada. This body itself is the soul. So while live happily, for that, up to their knowledge, the important thing that can be contributed to healthy body is ghee, because that is why we are offering ghee even to gods. So while life remains, live it happily, even by borrowing. That's again important, borrowing, not by robbery or thefting or by some other unauthorized means. Borrowing is an established way of transaction, and once this body is this body become ashes, never expect to come back here again. This is their philosophical position. There is only one life. So it is possible for us to analyze each and every concept of this Lokayata philosophy, and the unfortunate thing is that we are studying this Lokayata only from the view of the opponents. And we have to even in the Ramayana, in the Mahabharata, there are references to this Lokayata philosopher or Charvaka who make their dissent to the existing ethical considerations. That is a huge subject again.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other response or questions to sir? Please, Dr. Batri, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Unnikrishnan, sir, for wonderful lecture. Just an observation, sir. No doubt, sir. Just supporting your view, or I don't know, sir. Even today, in Indian philosophy, Charvaka is viewed as a touchstone or milestone in Indian philosophy. There was a point of time where how Charvaka would oppose us because such strong was their logic, so profound, so perfect was their logic. And as you mentioned, it was only because of their ethics, and even the ethics, as you have explained. Now I have changed my mind that ethics was, if understood properly, it's not Charvaka's fault, but our own misunderstanding, because so strong was their logic that they were a touchstone in Indian philosophy. Nobody could do away with Charvaka. They, either one could say for Charvaka or against Charvaka, but not without Charvaka, sir. Thank you, sir. Just an observation, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Badriji.
Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you, Prasanna Kumar, sir.
Manikandan sir, you like to comment upon something?
No, Prasanna, no. I have raised the question and sir has clarified it.
Thank you so much, sir. Like he was kind enough to accept our invitation when we approached him for the presentation. He, in spite of his busy schedule, he agreed to be part of our webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Now I request my colleague, Professor Sumitra, to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to one and all. It means an immense pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks for this event to all dignitaries assembled here. A man with great vision and mission, an icon for hard work, is our chief guest, Dr. Pannirselvam, for making excellent presentation. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our another chief guest, Dr. P. Unnikrishnan, who honored this function with valuable presence. Thank you, sir. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Secretary and management members to give permission for conducting this program. We thank our beloved principal, Dr. N. Venkataramanan, for extending all his cooperation and moral support. A sincere thanks to our Vice Principal, Dr. B. Mahavir, for being part of today's program. I extend my gratitude to the respected all the heads of department, staff members of various departments of various colleges. Thank you. I would like to express our profound gratitude to our head, Dr. S. Manikandan, for making this program a grand success. Thank you, sir. My most gratitude to our HOD Department of History, Dr. Anukul, sir, being a part of this program. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Office Superintendent Mr. Ravichandran and non-teaching for their immense support. It's my pleasure to thank the dignitaries today with us, Dr. Badrinath, Vivekananda College, Richness sir, Vivekananda College, James Korean sir, MCC College, Krishna Kumar Vaya sir, Indra madam, and Amita Valmiki. I owe special gratitude to all the chief guests invite who have come from different destinations for their support and cooperation. A sincere thanks to my colleague, Dr. Prasanna Kumar, for the Master of Ceremony and technical support for this program. Last but not least, we thank all the participants of today's program for making a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumitra, and we will wind up the session with the national anthem.